Hi, welcome back to Whoops with C++ Session 5. In today's session, we will discuss on first CPP program and small introduction to C++. So, in 1979, Bjarne Strostrup developed an internal project in Bell's laboratory by adding some of object-oriented features to the core C programming, core C programming language. So those features are classes and objects. So completely some object-oriented features. And this project is developed for internal purpose only. Later, it's become very popular, and they renamed it as C++. So the initial version of C++ was called as C with classes, and it is actually developed for internal usage purpose. Later, it becomes one of the famous language. Okay, so a few points we have to remember. As I said, C++ is developed by Bjarne Strostrup in 1979 from AT&T Bell's laboratory. So starting from 1979 till today, C++ is ruling the world. The initial version of C++ was called as C with classes. Later, he changed the name. Its name is changed to C++. Since, as I said, C is a core part of C++, C++ is having full backward compatibility with the C language also. Like whatever programming we are doing in C, same thing we can do it in C++ also. So means a completely procedural approach we can do. Okay. So since we can do complete procedural approach in C++ and object oriented approach also in C++, we cannot say C++ is a object oriented programming language because it is not a pure object oriented programming language. So it is having the limitations of procedural language also and advantages of object oriented programming language also. And the first commercial version of C++ was released in the market to the market in the year 1985. That is called C++, and before to 1985 it is called as C with classes. C is subset of C++. Since C++ supports procedural as well as object oriented approach or object oriented programming features, we cannot say C++ is a pure object oriented programming language. So because of this reason only in the initial session 1, I have not taken C++ as an example for object oriented programming language because it is having the features of procedural as well as object oriented programming approach also. We can have the uh, object oriented approach with C++, but it is not a pure object oriented programming language. The limitations of C is carry forwarded in C++ also. Okay. So now let's discuss about our first programming in C++. We will start with the procedural approach of C++. After procedural approach is completed, we will see the object oriented approach by using C++. Now let's start with procedural approach of C++ by the programming by this program. So this is first program.cpp. So in this program, my intention is take two values of integers from user and check if the values are same or not. If the values are same, return 1. If the values are not same, return 0. So here 1 means true, 0 means false. Means if both the a and b values are same, then return 1, that is true. If both the values are 0, then return 0. Means if both the values are not equal, then return 0, means return false. Okay. So let's observe this program step by step, each line. So this is the first line. This first line is for comments purpose, single line comments. Okay, so single line comments we are using double hash, my first program in CPP. So why we will use comments? It is for self documentation purpose. You can write in the comments, you can write why this particular program is designed, or why this particular function is designed, or why this particular line is designed, or what is the purpose of this, who written this program, what is the purpose of this, where this function will be called. All such type of documents we can do in we can have in the comments session. So that's why we can say by using comments we can give the readability of the documentation. We can provide the documentation, and readability of the program is also increases. Next comes hash include IO stream. Okay, so this is a preprocessor directive which is telling the compiler to include this IO stream file. So this IO stream is nothing but it is a input output stream file. So we are telling the compiler include this entire file to my first program.cpp, and next we are saying using namespace std. So this statement will providing an visibility to the namespace std, and each header files in C++ will be having a namespace called std. Uh, in upcoming sessions, we'll see what is this namespace, why this namespace is used, and what is the advantage of this namespace. And as usual, there is always one starting function will be there, that is main, where main function starts here. And when we are executing the program will start executing from main function. Okay, so just come to main function. When we come to main function, this is how we are declaring the variables, local variables declaration, int a comma b. So however, in the same way how we are declaring the variables in C. And also there you can see enter the values of a comma b. We have used cout, so left shift operators, and we are printing the information. So what it will do is it will output this information, enter the values of a and b on the screen. So output operation using cout, and next cin. So the cin this is input operation. What it is taking cin. Next, it is right shift operator A, right shift operator B. So input operator operation using cin. So here cout and cin both are called both are objects. Cout is an object of OStream and cin is an object of iStream class. When we talk about this operators, left shift operator, right shift operator is there, right? So we will call this left shift operator as insertion operator, and right shift operator here we call it as extraction operator. Okay, so right. So next we have something like bool c. Bool is a new data type introduced in C++. It is not there in C. So bool, it is a as you said, it will take the boolean expressions 1 or 0. So here in the next line we are checking C equals to A equals to B. We are taking the value from the user. If the user enters both the A value and B value is same, then C value will be 1. If both values are different, then C value will be 0. And what is the value of C that we are going to print in C? Cout, output the statement value of C is equals to C and endl. And no need to mention any percent %C, percent %D. Those things are not required here. So format specifiers are not required. So your C++ compiler is more intelligent enough to identify what is the type of the variable you are going to print. And here also when you are taking C in A, C in B, so in case of C language, what we are doing is we are writing scanf address of A, comma address of B, we are writing. So here your C++ compiler is very intelligent to no need to give address of symbol here. So directly you can enter the values A and B here. Address of operator is not required here. So return. So this is again output operation using cout. And next is return statement, end of main function with return 0. So in C we were using void main. Okay, for main, return type is void, but when we talk about C++, integer is the return type. So why we have to return? So because whenever you are running any program, so the executor, that is a parent process, that will expecting some of the return value of this. So whether it is returning successful or returning any failure, so that intimation it has to give it to the uh, sh- uh, it has to give it to the parent process who is executing this. So if you are executing on a terminal, shell terminal, then that shell is the parent process which is um, uh, triggering this executable file. Do you have to give the return statement to that? So integer is the return type for main. So, and you have to return an integer value. Generally, after successful completion, we will return 0. 0 means successful execution of the program. Okay, so again, just have again discuss step by step. So the first thing we have used is comments. So in C++, we are using double hash for single line comments and slash star star slash for multiple line comments. As I said, comments are used for self documentation purpose. Here you can write the purpose of the program, or what is the input you are taking for this function, what is the output you are giving from this function, or is this function is returning any value, or we can say the description of the function, why this function is used, or who modified this, who is the author of this function, and when it is developed. All this information you can place it inside the comments section, and this is for readability purpose. And it why we have to write comments, or why we need documentation. So, say for example, say nowadays people will be you can jumping from one company to another company. Say you might have developed some um, code in one of the companies, some X company. So maybe after 3 or 4 years, you will be jumping to some other company. Maybe some Y person or some person two came to your project, and he is checking your code. So once you have written the code, in the code, if you have mentioned the documentation, why this particular function is present, who is calling this one, who is the author of this, what is the description of that function, the purpose of the function. If you have mentioned, then it will be easy to the new programmer to do the debugging and to do the modification in that program. So otherwise, it will be very difficult to understand why exactly this is this function is written, or this particular lines are written. So it is always advised, so to maintain the documentation in your code. Okay, even though it will take some time, just please maintain the documentation. That will be a good programming practice. Okay, so next we have some preprocessor directives, that is hash include IO stream. So it is a preprocessor directives which will include or import the IO stream file. So IO stream is also one of the header file. Previously we have in C we were using hash include stdio.h. So there we are including stdio.h file for standard input output operation purpose. So for in C++ we are including IO stream file for standard input output operation purpose. So IO stream is an input output stream file used for input and output operation. So and cout and cin will be available only when you include IO stream file, and endl also is available only when you include IO stream also. And you have using namespace std. So in C++, by using namespace, we can provide security to the global data members, and using namespace std statement, we will provide visibility to the namespace std present in IO stream. So in all the C++ header files, there will be a common namespace called std, and whenever this is the format using namespace std we will use. We have some other methods also to access the contents in the namespace. So time being, just ignore using namespace std is just to access the elements globally declared element to access the globally declared elements in iostream file. Currently you just keep that in mind. So in upcoming session we will discuss about why this namespace is introduced, how we are providing security to the global data members, in how many ways we can access the namespace contents. All these things we will discuss in the upcoming sessions. So now main. So as I said, main function is the starting function of CPP program, like C, from where the actual execution of the statements will start. And main function has to return integer. So it's not a void return type. It is a integer return type. You have to return integer value. Okay, so next comes, we have seen some output operation. We have used cout and cin. So when you are running a program where it will be running on a RAM memory. So your program is executing now. Your program is resides in RAM memory. Means it is the program under execution is called process. Now first program.cpp, that program is running now. That program is process, means it is currently running in RAM memory. Now whatever information is now you have mentioned cout enter a comma b values. Where is that statement present? That statement is present inside the RAM memory. Inside the RAM memory that statement is present. Now the stream enter a comma b values, that has to be displayed on the monitor. Means the stream has to travel from RAM memory to monitor. So to transfer the, so here source is, here source is, this is source and this is destination. Okay, so now the stream is transferring from RAM memory to monitor. Now, there should be some mediator is required to take this data from RAM memory to RAM memory to monitor. So that is nothing but a cout object. Okay, so cout object will works as a mediator between RAM memory and monitor. Now, how the data is flowing? Data is flowing from RAM memory to cout. Means this operation, this is called insertion operator. So this insertion operator will tells how the data is flowing, whether the data is flowing towards the cout object, whether data is flowing towards this direction or towards RAM memory. So now the data is flowing towards the cout object, means from RAM memory the data will be given to cout object, and cout object will take a responsibility to display the information on the monitor. So again we have C in A, B. Now we are entering the data from keyboard. Okay, we are entering the value from the keyboard. Now source is keyboard. Okay, destination is RAM memory. So destination is RAM memory. Means the values you are entering, whatever values you are entering, that from the keyboard it has to be given to the process which is running in RAM memory. Means the data has to flow from keyboard to RAM memory. Now we are entering, say in value 10 comma 20 we are entering. Now data will be given to cin object. From cin object the data has to be extracted and given to RAM memory. So here it is saying the data is extracted. So from cin object, the data is flowing towards the RAM memory. Means it is extracted from the cin object is having whatever cin object is having that values, that that values has to be extracted and given it to RAM memory. Okay, so that's why it is called as extraction operator, and this one is called insertion operator. Means left shift operator is called insertion operator, right shift operator is called extraction operator. And insertion is operator is always associated with the cout, and extraction operator is always associated with cin. Don't use insertion operator with cin and extraction operator with cout. Okay, during compile time only you will get lot of errors. And whatever we are doing with the cout, that we will call it as output stream. Whatever we are doing with the extraction operator cin, that we call it as iStream object. And cout is an object of, second. Yeah. So cout and cin, cout is an object of OStream class which is used while dealing with output streams like monitor. And cin is an object of iStream class which is used while dealing with input operators. So as I said here, cout is an object of OStream class. So OStream is a class, okay, and cout is an predefined object of OStream class. Okay. So when you have the C++ libraries present, then cout is an already created object. We are going to directly use that object for output operation purpose. And in the same way, we are going to use cin object for input operation purpose. Okay. Now, so we have bool. Bool is a new data type introduced in C++. It is a bool. It is a short form of boolean. It holds only 1 or 0. 1 is for true and 0 is for false. And the size of this bool data type is 1 byte only. Okay. So it is just 1 byte and not 8 bytes. Okay. Only 1 byte it will take. And endel, we have endel is a new line character similar to slash n with a flush. Okay, it is always associated with output stream. Don't never ever use endel with cin. Okay, it is always, it is an output formatted string, so you have to use it with cout only. Endel is a new line character. However, we are using slash n in C. In the same way, we can use endel in C++. Okay. Now the last one, return 0. So unlike in C, in C++ we have to return an integer value from main function. Okay. So these are the statements we have discussed in this is the program, and we have discussed all these things. So far this is a single comments, and it is output file stream including namespace visibility, main function, local variables declaration, output operation using cout, and input operation using cin, bool, bool c. Here we are declaring the variable c, and c equals to a equals to b, and we are printing the value here and returning 0. So unlike C, you can have variable flexible variable declaration. So in C, what will happen is you have to declare the variables whatever you are going to use in the function at the beginning of the line only. Before having any input output statements, you need um, any algorithm statements, you have to declare the variables. After declaring the variables only, you can write all your logical steps or input output statements. But in case of C++, you have a flexibility. Just before one line you can give the declaration of this variable. Okay, so with that we can save some of the memory. Otherwise, if you have declared the variables in the initially itself in the beginning of the function itself, then the memory will be present till the end of the um, function. Okay, that is one of the advantage of C++. You can have flexible variable declaration. Okay, so that's about today's session. So in next session, we will see the compilation procedure of this first program .cpp, and we will see some of the experiments we will do on this first program, and we will deeply understand why this IO stream, why this IO stream came, what happened to IO stream.h. We have stdio.h, but when you see here, we are not using IO stream.h. We are just using IO stream. .h concept gone. What will happen if I put .h? Okay, all those things, and we will compile those this program, and we'll see what is the output. we'll give the same value and we'll try to give another values, what is the output we are getting. So all these things we'll discuss in the upcoming session. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and share.